Nós vamos ter o Kevin, da Eventbrite, que é a plataforma que a gente está usando, inclusive, para o nosso evento, a Eventius. Ele começou sua carreira como gerente de produtos, e depois... I'm sorry, I'm speaking Portuguese, and after that we can talk in English, it's okay? O Kevin começou a carreira como gerente de produto, e depois ele foi cofundador do Connect Group, uma startup de fornecimento de acesso à internet, e foi adquirida pela LodgeNet. E mais tarde ele atuou como cofundador e CEO da Shum, uma empresa de transferência de dinheiro em mais de 30 países. Ele tem sido um investidor ativo e assessor de startups como PlayPal, Pinterest, Mirante, Milo e várias outras. O Kevin vai contar um pouquinho aqui para a gente. Tudo bem do Kevin falar em inglês ou vocês preferem que alguém faça a tradução aqui na frente? Quem tudo bem de o Kevin falar em inglês o tempo inteiro? Levanta a mão, por favor. It's ok para vocês? Se ele falar inglês, qualquer coisa, nós vamos ter...
Diego, you can translate? Or is English okay? I'm sorry, my Brazilian is... Portuguese isn't very strong. It's okay in English?
It's ok? Podemos começar? Ok. Kevin, é com você. Obrigada. A plateia é com você.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here in Sao Paulo. And I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs out in the audience, and it's just an exciting time to be in technology worldwide. I've had the opportunity in the last few days to be in Sao Paulo and meet with a number of different entrepreneurs at different startups. And while there may not be as much capital pouring into the region, it's never a bad time to start a company and build something great. And in fact, the three companies I've founded have all been founded during really, really difficult times. And as a real important lesson to entrepreneurs, starting during the hard times really teach you the elements of success. Let me talk a bit about Eventbrite and tell you how this ties together with my entrepreneurial venture and perhaps how I can have some assistance in help in your journey as an entrepreneur. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Eventbrite, and the exciting news is that last year we joined forces with Eventios, and we've typically grown organically throughout the globe until we found the team of Eventios. We found an amazing team in Latin America, in Sao Paulo here, and in Argentina, and we're really excited to move forward and work with them. But talking about Eventbrite, in Eventios, what really motivates us, what drives us, our vision is really around bringing people together around live experiences. And what that means is that we typically think of ticketing as the biggest football matches or the largest concerts that was just held here in Sao Paulo. And that's our traditional view of ticketing. With Eventbrite and Eventios, we have a much broader vision. It really encompasses all types of events of all different sizes in all different categories. It could be running in a race, it could be live music, it could be theater, or it could be a congress like this. And we think that market is massive and much larger than just the traditional ticketing market. And how we think about, again, the live experiences that we saw technology, and we maybe foresaw technology as being very isolated. We thought we would spend all of our time inside our homes, in front of our computers, and never interact with people, and that social media wasn't really social. When in fact, what we've seen with technology is that it's actually bringing people together. And so this age-old notion of gathering where we can learn new ideas or listen to great music is really exploding and growing. And our vision is bringing people together, using technology to bring people together in the real world. Our second motivation, and this is important as I speak around what really gets us up in the morning and what drives us to do great things, our second motivation is really around looking and fixing what is a broken market, a market that has been dysfunctional. Incumbent traditional ticketing have three major problems. First is that there's just a lack of technology and innovation in that. Secondly, fees are very high. And third, there's no human face. There's a lack of customer experience, customer service, and a lack of really treating customers with respect. So really the simple premise in the creation of Eventios and Eventbrite is all around fixing these three things. Building great technology, lower fees, having really low fees in the market, and third, offering great customer service. And that, in short, is, in essence, what we are about. That model has really sustained us over a long period of time. We've built this company. We were founded in 2006, and we've built this company over a number of years. And that is a very important lesson that when we all see companies like WhatsApp and Instagram grow so fast, those are the anomalies. And the reality is it takes many, many years and a lot of hard work and patience and endurance to build a great company. And if you just look at the numbers, from 2006 until last year we sold over 2 billion reales in worldwide on our platform, and we're very excited about that, but we're just getting started. We need to get to 20 billion reales and 200 billion reales, and that is driving us forward. So what we look for when we apply our model to the world, that the business and entrepreneurs are similar throughout the world, and what we found here as I mentioned at the beginning, is that we set up all these offices that we would send our team members out to London and to Melbourne, Australia, and to Dublin, Ireland. And here in Brazil and in Sao Paulo, we found this great team of Eventios. I see Pedro in the front row here, and of course, Pablo, Emilio, and the rest of the team is back at the office. But we found great people. And what that means is really the essence of what makes startups great are the people around them. So we're looking so much at what is the characteristics of an entrepreneur. We look for teams that can do a lot with very little resources. We look for people that think very big and can solve problems and really overcome the biggest of the obstacles. I've had the opportunity to invest in a lot of different startups, ranging from PayPal to Pinterest to Airbnb, and see these companies very early on. And my motivation behind angel investing is not a financial return. My interest is in learning from these companies. And when I get the opportunity to invest and work early on with entrepreneurs, I get the opportunity to see how things are done. And this is a very important lesson here in Sao Paulo, is that you have the opportunity to share ideas with your fellow entrepreneurs, to come together and share offices, but also really share ideas. And in the Valley, in Silicon Valley, I think of it as just as we have open source software, we have open ideas that help us grow and learn. And when I've had the opportunity to invest in these companies, I've learned as much as I hope I've been able to give advice and give insight to these entrepreneurs. And I see that no different down here in Brazil with Eventios. And in a sense, the way that I'm operating, the way that we're operating with Eventios is much like my investing, where I can mentor and work with and help the team grow and expand down here. And of course, we're hiring here in Sao Paulo, if any of you are looking, but to grow and expand with the team. But I also learned so much from being down here in the market and being with the wonderful team. We're going to move to some questions, and I wanted to give a brief presentation, but should we come up?
Alô? Ok. Vou chamar aqui o Diego Remos, que ele é o fundador, curador, dono, mentor do Startup. Para quem não conhece o Diego, que trabalha com startup, empreendedorismo, ele é o cara, né, que vai mediar agora, trabalhar com o Kevin, aí fazendo algumas perguntas para colocar. Inclusive, Diego, você tem mais uns 5, 8 minutos para envolver o pessoal aí fazendo perguntas, beleza?
Ok, posso fazer isso aqui primeiro?
Jeff, it's up to you.
Obrigado, Ana. Hi, Kevin. Great to meet you.
Thank you.
How did you start in tech? Like, are you a computer scientist or?
I'm actually a history major, so I'm one of the more, it's a little more unusual, but I began at a technology company in the 90s called Silicon Graphics and product management, and got to be around a lot of exciting technology and really see at Silicon Graphics what was going to unfold in the future.
Wow, that's interesting. But are you a programmer too? Do you code or do you do mostly business?
Well, these days I'm doing all really business, and my focus these days is really recruiting and finding great people. And I would say the job of any CEO, any startup CEO, you should spend the great majority of your time finding great people.
How did you find your first co-founders?
At Silicon Graphics. So one of the things about, I would say one of the few advantages for working at a big tech company, Silicon Graphics was like had engineers on the caliber of Google back in the 1990s, and my co-founder of Zoom, my second company, we worked together, and he was an incredible engineer. He worked on the original Netscape browser before it was called Netscape, it was called Mosaic, and being around that, he was just a wonderfully talented engineer and very balanced. So I could handle the business affairs and product and so on, and he would do the programming.
You mentioned you found a great team down here in Latin America. Do you think this is an exception, or do you think there is more around? Have you seen more Brazilian startups around or Latin startups?
Well, I just had breakfast this morning with a whole table of great entrepreneurs, and I was just really excited and pleasantly surprised at the caliber of these entrepreneurs. And I think that is the educational system down here, the culture, the competition, the growth of the Brazilian market. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I think there's great talent down here.
Do you have an advice for people who are starting their businesses, and for us Brazilians as a community? How can we be stronger together? How would we be strong as Silicon Valley, for example?
Well, just these types of events where you can come together and exchange ideas and really learn from one another. It's important to figure out what are the best payment systems, or how do you best use Google SEO? How do you hire engineers? What are the different rates? You have this opportunity to gather as a community and build something really great here. That's a very important side. There isn't as much capital here as there is in Silicon Valley. And I think that's actually a good thing, because that means that you have to be very lean, that you have to be very capital efficient. And the entrepreneurs that I had breakfast with this morning, they were really what we call scrappy fighters. And those are the entrepreneurs that I like the most. The companies that were up here, some of these investments I've made that have all started, the one consistency of all these companies is that they couldn't raise money initially. People thought their ideas were crazy, and they had to bootstrap the company. And so not having the capital down here in the same manner, at the same scale as in Silicon Valley, is very, very helpful for all of you, because you'll learn how to build a very capital efficient company.
Well, you have been on both sides. You raised capital for some of your companies, you invested in some companies. What do you think is most attractive to investors?
That's the great question. The best response is real results, a great product, really happy customers. And all too often I see entrepreneurs spending 90% of their time trying to raise money and 10% of their time working with their customers and building their product. And if they would spend 90% of their time working on their product and making their 100% doing that, the investors come to you. Just to tell a story about Eventbrite is that we started in 2006 and we bootstrapped the company. We took no salaries, and in 2008 the market collapsed and we were worried and we said we better raise some money right away. And we went to 20 venture capitalists, maybe 25 venture capitalists, and every one of them said no. But the good news is that we'd worked for 2 years, we'd built a product that customers love, and in 2009, when all the companies that had raised a lot of venture capital realized that the venture capital money had stopped, they went out of business, and Eventbrite took off. And we saw 2009 as our biggest year. And that was at the end of 2009 is when Sequoia Capital, investors in YouTube, Google, and others, WhatsApp, came to us and invested because they saw the growth that we were experiencing. So you don't need to spend much time on fancy presentations. You don't need to just chasing on investors down shouldn't be your focus. Your focus should be on building a great business, and you'll find that the investors will find you.
So you ran 3 years without venture capital, and how many people were working with you?
At the time we raised from Sequoia, we had about a dozen employees. We did raise some friends and family angel money. We had some fellow entrepreneurs that had been successful, ex-PayPal people that had invested some money with us.
Do you think going global is crucial? An advice for these guys?
Well, I like to think big, and your idea is you should think very expansive, that this is a time where your ideas, your products, your technologies can span the entire globe. There's never been a time where you can reach broader audiences. So thinking global is very important, but don't get ahead of yourself. With the company I started previously called Zoom, a money transfer business, we went into too many companies too quickly. In fact, we've had times where we've moved too fast or expanded too quickly with Eventbrite. So do think globally, but make sure you do it when the timing is right. Try to win markets. I was speaking with the founder today of Kakanto, and Fernando has been focused on Sao Paulo for quite a while and is now expanding out. So you can really use Sao Paulo as a way to build a customer base, to show your economics, to show that your business is working, and then try to go out to the world rather than spreading yourself too thin.
This is how Eventbrite started?
We started with a very horizontal platform, and we had immediately we had people using the product in different parts of the world. But in terms of our focus, it was more domestically focused. We hadn't localized or integrated other payments. But today, between Eventbrite and Eventios, we've sold tickets in 180 countries around the world, and that is the nature of when you build a great product, and with the nature of new mobile apps in the world economy, is that it's a massive market here in Brazil, but outside in the entire world, and you want to again be able to reach that, and you see the success of companies like Dropbox and Airbnb and WhatsApp and so on that can really cross borders.
Vocês têm alguma pergunta? Preparem. So what's your goal now? Do you want to strengthen Brazil and Latin America operations, or do you want to acquire local operations somewhere else?
Well, we have our team. We've found that team that is here to really build out, to really see the market in Brazil. We think of it as Eventios will be the Mercado Libre for ticketing, and that is congresses, that's races, but that's also over time we'll move up into larger and larger events to the biggest of events. So we have many years of work to do, and I'm very excited to spend time with a lot of time and working with the team to see that vision through.
A gente pode pegar perguntas? A gente vai pegar perguntas? Pode? Como faz? Vocês têm microfone aí? Eu levo lá. Oh. Pode perguntar em português, se precisar, eu traduzo para ele.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to meet you. A lot of companies that have services online have people that work in home, not in an office. What do you think about that? That working in home against working in an office?
Great question. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. With Eventios and Eventbrite, we chose to work together. When we started initially, we were all working out of our homes. We, couldn't afford an office, but we liked the notion of being together live to collaborate. But that's not necessarily the only way to build a company. I think WordPress, if you're familiar with WordPress, they don't have an office. They have hundreds of employees around the world, great engineers, and it's completely distributed. So we live in an age where that can be accomplished. Now there's trade-offs to that. There can be misunderstandings, there can be communication issues, but if you really think and plan and build that culture, you can do that successfully. And Matt Mullenweg and WordPress is an excellent example of that. I think we have time for one question.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to meet you. My name is Chris Duarte. What do you think about what kind of digital business I think is growing up in Brazil, actually?
Can you repeat the question?
What do you think? What kind of digital business is growing up here in Brazil?
Well, over time,
social or everything?
I mean, over time there will be all the trends. We see very well-educated population, large population, high GDP. There's been some turbulence of the economy, but if you look out, the trend of growth of digital in all areas is wonderful. It takes time to build. And some markets, will grow faster than the others. The United States has been ahead of many markets. But I have absolute faith and confidence, and we will be here many years building that out. And we don't know, I can't tell you how quickly it'll happen, but what's very exciting to me is that in what all the entrepreneurs here in the room should be looking at is the trends, as the mobile adoption has grown so fast with Android phones, that there's so many more people that can get online, and the internet penetration growth rates are growing, e-commerce growth rates, payments integration, all the infrastructure that's needed, broadband is coming to Brazil. It's making it there. It never happens at the speed that we want it, but we, in the case of Eventios, fundamentally believe that every Brazilian will buy tickets online in the future, whether on their phone or in a web or in their desktop or laptop, and that's going to happen. It's just a matter of fact, and I think that we just have to find and move in the direction of the markets to wait that out. So in any space, you should have that confidence. You want to look for markets that are what we call more ripe than others, but I'm just extremely excited about the prospects here. I know we're out of time. Thank you so much. Julia gives her regards. I see some women entrepreneurs in the crowd. One of our three co-founders is Julia, who's also my wife. And the next trip, I promise she'll be down because she's really the brains behind the operation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.